Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons as I take up more questions in this segment of Ask Judy. If you enjoy these, please do hit like and subscribe. Kimberly Marie asked, if you could direct and write an episode of the Waltons, what would you choose for the plot? And what personal touches would you add to the episode? That is so tough. I know along the course of the series, there were points where I might have a thought about, wouldn't it be great if this storyline could continue or if this character could continue? There were certain things that, that just kind of came in briefly, like there might be in the abdication where there was where Stephen Collins came in and played this British assistant director that then kind of goes on a date with Mary Ellen. I thought, wouldn't it be great if that character came back and that relationship was pursued in some way? Or I had the same thought after the episode The Medal with the character of Eddie that came into that, and they sort of established a bit of a romance there. And it's like, well, maybe that would be a future romance for Mary Ellen, and maybe he has a reason to come back and they see each other again. So I don't know, perhaps at that point in my life, it was kind of like I was maybe feeling a little like, well, Aaron gets all of the sort of relationship stories and thinking, wouldn't it be fun if Mary Ellen had, a little bit more of an arc, a storyline with a romance that lasted a little longer. Because once Kurt died, then there wasn't really anything until the 9th season when Jonesy came and sort of stayed and they were going to get married. But that was at the end of the episode, so we really didn't get to pursue more about what that relationship would have been. And that would have been nice to, maybe Mary Ellen and Jonesy could have had a spin-off where he was a vet and she was, a nurse, and they ended up somehow, working together at times. So I had a lot of spin-off ideas. I also thought it would be nice to do something that involved all the family. I loved the episode, The Celebration, when they were paying off the mortgage and the whole family pulled together to work and deliver this final order so that they could pay off the mortgage. So I thought it would be nice if there was maybe some sort of additional aspects of the family business that would involve more of the family. And so we weren't so kind of scattered all over the place later. That would have been nice, I think, to maybe create an episode there that brought all of us together, pulling together as a family once more. Maybe a family business would have been fun. And another spinoff. I know there was an episode where Aaron and I got an apartment together in the city. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if Mary Ellen and Aaron had a sort of spinoff of living together someplace in the city or whatever. So I would get a lot of those kinds of ideas, or, maybe later on, Mary Ellen and Jonesy, join the Peace Corps or something like that and go to some smaller rural area, maybe even in another country, and help that community. And maybe, members of the family could come to visit or help out as guest spots. So I have a lot of those sorts of creative ideas that floated around at times. So anyway, those are my ideas. If those end up being heard by somebody that likes them and, is in a position to make them happen, then yeah, you're welcome. And perhaps I can be involved in it. This question is from Nancy Smith, who said, would you kindly explain some acting theatrical terms I've been hearing frequently? Arc. So arc is what is the journey of a story or a character. So a character's arc might mean that they start off and they're very timid and afraid, and then over the course of the episode, the season, the entire series, they become brave and they become a hero. So that is their arc. Or it could be the arc of a show where, the Waltons start off in the Depression, and over the course of the series, they move through the Depression and into pre-war years, and then into the war, and then through the war, and then in reunion movies after the war. So that is the journey of the entire show. So that would be the arc. Then coverage. Coverage means any shots that are done during a single scene. So the master would be the master, and then then you'd have close-ups and two shots and maybe an over-the-shoulder shot, an insert. So any of the shots that compose the entire what you have to use for the edit of a scene, that's the coverage. And how much of that you need to do determines how much time it's going to take. How many actors are in a scene, how much movement there is, how much action there is. All of that can determine how much coverage you need. Then sides. Sides was a little sort of term that was at some point changed from like script to the sides. Like you go to an audition and you're given 3 pages of dialogue. They would call those the sides. Oh, here are your sides for that audition. So it's just whatever scenes you're going to be auditioning with, or whatever scenes you're going to be shooting that day of filming. So those are sides. Then the master shot is the big establishing shot, the wide shot, the widest shot you will see typically of a scene. And it's usually how the scene starts. Not always, but if you see a wide shot and you see everybody moving around, that's the master shot. And then you go into the coverage of the close-ups and the two shots and how they break down that big wide shot. If you think of you were watching a play, you saw the whole scene on stage. If you were filming that, the whole scene on stage would be the master. And then if they went, oh, there's a close-up of this person talking, or the camera's moving with this person, and then these 3 people stand and talk, all of those would be part of the coverage. Call sheet. The call sheet lists everything that's going to be shot. It has all the information about a day's filming. So it has what the production is, where it's being filmed, who the director is. Then it has a list of all the actors, and what time they're being called, which is why it's a call sheet. So you get that at the end of a day and say, tomorrow, my call time is 9 a.m. And the crew on the back of the call sheet would have what time all the crew needs to be there. There's information about what scenes are being filmed, and what sequence they're being filmed in, and whether it's day or night that scene takes place. How many pages is that scene? And then any extra things. Do they need any animals? Do they need dressing rooms? Do they need a crane maybe that day? If it were a big film, there's a helicopter working that day, or there are cars that need to be there. So all the information for what's needed for that day of filming, and on the back, all the call times for all of the crew. And then there's also a little segment that shows what's coming up. So let's say this is Tuesdays. That'll say something about what's going to be filming on Wednesday. So there's a glance ahead to see what is a little bit of the advanced schedule. Nancy also wanted to know, was it difficult when a director and movie company were actually actors in a scene? I smiled to think of an actor playing a director versus the real director saying cut. So she's referring to like the episode, The Abdication. So no, I mean, it's just you're playing a character like anything else. What's a little tougher is if, like, say, Richard Thomas or Ralph Waite were directing a scene and they're also in the scene. Then you've got the actual reality of Ralph standing back as the director and going, this is what I want. And then the camera's going to roll and he has to step into the scene and the assistant director will say action and cut. So at that point, he's having to be an actor, but then he steps back and directs what's going to happen next and then steps back into the scene. So, but playing an actor or playing a director, it's just another type of character, and probably easier because you really understand what that character is about. So you don't have to do a ton of research. So that's the good point. So hopefully that was helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this segment of Ask Judy. I will be back with more about episodes and more behind the scenes and more special guests. Thanks for watching.